IFBB Bikini Pro and Guest Berry Nutrition spokesmodel, and you are listening to the UCW radio show, In Your Face.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio.
In your face.
Give it to me, baby.
All right, welcome to the UCW radio show, and to this special edition of the show. Our focus today is bringing attention to animal rescue and to an awesome initiative that's raising awareness and donations to such a great cause in Angel City Pits. That's a Los Angeles-based pit bull rescue organization created on a shoestring budget by love, and it's bound by love, and that's how they do it. And that's why our special guests that we're going to be bringing on are doing what they do. We have comedian Rebecca Corry, and we have actress Stephanie Lemmlin on the show. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us. Hi.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Oh, my God. And Rebecca, forget about it. You know, you have a lot of things going on, okay, and I want to thank you especially for taking time out to come on the show, because ironically, this is happening right before you're going to perform live on stage in about an hour or so welcome to the show.
I just landed, but there's always time to talk about pibbles, because you know how I love them, and I have Angel here right now, and she's staring me down. She's kind of pissed this isn't on Skype. She's very pissed for not Skyping this.
Well, yeah, she wants all that attention. She's an attention hound.
I know.
No pun intended.
I know she is.
Very cute play on words. I've got two pit bulls here as well, Bruce Lee and Stanley. They say hi to Angel.
I love them both. They're delicious.
Well, I used to have pit bulls myself, but they passed a few years back. So I'm right in the same realm with you guys with loving pit bulls and just being an animal lover within itself.
Well, you do a lot of great work for stopping dog fighting and bringing awareness to it, and I really appreciate you supporting Stand Up for Pits too, because you know, it's something that I thought about doing a long time ago, about 3 years ago, and I actually pitched it as a show to Animal Planet. And they passed, but I decided to start doing live events combining comedy with animal rescue and specifically pit bulls. And I met Stephanie a couple of years ago, I think, at an animal event in Los Angeles, and I just love their group. Animal rescuers are a breed of their own sort of people, and I like I really make it my goal to help the ones who are, grassroots that have small amount of dogs but do really great work. And every one of their dogs they take a lot of pride in, and I'm really happy to be supporting them, and I'm committed to supporting them too. I want to raise money for them every year because I think that what they do is a great thing.
We are very grateful to have Rebecca's attention and yours as well. And thank you so much for, promoting to your public all about our group. We really appreciate all the attention, and we relish in the opportunity to give education to people who might have any misinformed opinions. We have a great website that talks all about pit bulls and pit bull type dogs, and like you guys, we're animal lovers in general, and pit bulls are just one type of dog out there, but we absolutely love them the most, and we want to meet them and see them as individuals and who they are and not discriminate.
Well, I have to correct you on one thing. Steph. Okay,
What's
you don't have to thank me. I have to thank you for doing what you do, because you don't have to do this. You don't have to go out and try to, rescue these pit bulls. You don't have to. No one has to do it. Same way Michael Vick didn't have to go and do that to these dogs. And that's another story within itself. Okay, but you do this because I know that Angel City Pits, as I said earlier, is bound by love. You do it because you have a passion, a love. Rebecca does what she needs to do to help you guys because she has that same passion and love, and and that's what we're doing here. So what we're gonna do, you guys gonna let our listeners know what's going on with Angel City Pits, what's going on with the event, and let's tackle some misconceptions as it relates to pit bulls. And I really want to know about the rescue portion of what you guys do.
Sure. And I would like to
Go ahead,
say
Steph. Tell them about Angel City. Tell them about Angel City.
Well, yeah, I would love to tell you about Angel City, and I also wanted to mention you brought up Michael Vick, which is always a touchy subject, but I do look back, for me personally, my dad was a professional athlete, so I was raised with an NHL, star in my household. He played 19 years, and we had a lot of attention thrown our way growing up, and it was interesting because it was second nature for me to think that anyone who was a celebrity would use that for good and to promote charities. And so to be a child of a professional athlete and then to see what he did with his fame and fortune was, in many ways, the one positive thing to come out of that is it brought a lot of attention to the problem of what people are doing to the dogs. And at the end of the day, I'm really grateful that the public responded by seeing these dogs as victims and really came in and supported. And The Lost Dogs is a great book. If anyone's out there that wants to read it, Jim Grant wrote from Sports Illustrated. And it really goes into the many, many levels and how deep that situation was. And I'm so grateful for groups like, the group out of San Francisco, Bad Rap. They rehabilitated so many of those dogs, and also Best Friends, and paved the way for groups like ours, which is just one of many, grassroots groups out there. And when you said we don't have to do this, I feel like anyone who's ever loved a pit bull type dog, we do have to do it because it's fascinating to me when we're walking down the street, and our dogs are our pets. They're beloved. They live with our kids. They live, in our homes. Many of them sleep in our beds. They're our babies. And I'm always fascinated when someone will literally run to the other side of the street and say, oh, my God, and, pick up their kid or their dog and run away. And I try to look at all those opportunities as teaching moments, and I invite people to come up and meet our dogs. And just to remember that they're animals, but when they're happy, healthy, temperament correct, and raised in loving homes with responsible parents, they're fantastic pets and companions. So, and a lot of our dogs, by the way, are actually therapy dogs as well. We have a group through Angel City Pit Bulls that has been working to train them to go to help with kids who have learning disabilities or to go into hospitals. And, just not only are they being great dogs, but they're spreading the word underhandedly about how good pit bulls can be.
Well,
yeah, and I got
stuff.
myself one. I got myself a what?
She's an Angel therapy dog.
Yeah. She just flew today on an airplane and was kind of a hit as usual on the plane. But I mean, I have myself a pit bull that was from the streets of South Central that was, basically mutilated and tortured. You know her story, Lou, and
oh yeah,
and for 5 years, and now she is the inspiration for Stand Up for Pits. This is the second year in Los Angeles, and we did a sold out show in Seattle, and now we have DC is confirmed, and then and Austin and Philadelphia are pending. So it's continuing to grow. This event is growing. I'm building a website, and I'm going to keep donations going, not just for not just at the event, but hopefully all year round through merchandise and products that we're working on. I have this book that I want to do for the event and everything. So, I don't do what Stephanie does. I don't do what Angel City Pits does. I have rescued, and I have went to people's doors and confronted them and taken their dogs and, or bought their dogs or threatened to whatever and have placed them in whatever. But I don't really have the means for doing that. I don't have a big area where I can board and train and do all the work that these rescues do. So what I like to do and what I'm committed to doing is raising awareness on a social level, as well as raising money, because I just find that's
so important. That's so important.
What's that?
It's just so important what you do, and that's so helpful overall.
Well, I think it's a nice feeling to be able to, it is a ton of work, but at the end of it all, to be able to go, wow, that night was really worth it, and a lot of good can come from all that work for one night. It's pretty awesome. So it's definitely worth it. But I come at it from a social standpoint. I think that in my opinion, I know I've spoke to you about this before, Lou, too, is that, I just feel like that the treatment of these dogs is a social issue. I mean, it's absolutely an ethical treatment of animals issue. There's no doubt about it. However, there is a problem going on that needs to be looked at even deeper. I feel like the treatment of pit bulls is a symptom of a bunch of broken people. And I feel like the only way that there is going to truly be a change, there's two ways. One is spaying and neutering, period, and the other one is education. Now, I get really angry about the mistreatment of these dogs, and when people are running and acting a fool and have absolutely no intention of learning about this dog and just judging and whatever. But that's not going to solve anything. I think that, like, these people just don't know. And a lot of them have been raised in families where they're not taught to treat animals with respect. Maybe they haven't been treated with respect. Maybe they're broken. Maybe they've been abused. And as a result, they're doing this to the animals. And it always comes back. I always go back to, like, parenting. Like, where are the parents of the inner city children in South Central Los Angeles that are lighting pit bulls on fire? Where are those parents, and what has happened to those children?
Well, they're probably, if you can hurt an animal, I mean, that trickles down to you hurting a child, a woman, the elderly.
That's what I'm saying.
And where does it stop? It doesn't stop. It's and then people look at pit bulls, okay? And the reality is, I don't care what type of animal. You can mistreat a lizard, and you can make it vicious if you want it to be. Okay, because as long as they can be trained to be such a thing, like you can train a Chihuahua to be good or just be mean. Okay, it all depends on the environment, and that's a big thing. That's why when people, they get scared when they see a pit bull, they're saying, well, how are they trained? But then again, it can be any dog that's trained the wrong way.
Yeah, I think people need to use common sense when it comes to animals, and like everything in life, I think not to judge a book by its cover. And what's scary about these judgments, unfortunately, is that they turn into laws, and that's where it gets a little hairy. We've got people saying we want to ban pit bulls in Pasadena, which is a town right next door to where I live, and that blew my mind. It's we're a progressive West Coast city, and I'm looking at that like, are you joking me? If you would just come into my house because you passed a law based on ignorance and fear and rip my family members away from me. One of my dogs I've had 10 years, and he's, like I said, sleeps in our bed and goes everywhere with us. So, and it's just a joy.
I invited that councilman to our event, Steph.
Right, and exactly, and I have his name and number. I don't know if we should put it up there, but I did ask all of my friends and family to write letters in, and again, we try very hard not to confront them and not to make it, if we can, hostile, but instead invite them to meet the dogs and make it 3D for them and show them, like how they can be great pets and how, what a happy dog looks like and a healthy dog. And, instead attacking the problem where it starts, which is, like you said, with spaying and neutering and in the cities and areas where high abuse happens and mistreatment. Yes. And that, by the way, does extend to many different breeds of dogs, but unfortunately there is a bit of a status like symbol about doing this to this type of dog. It's a myth that's kind of grown way too big with people like Michael Vick and whatnot, bringing that kind of attention, and so that makes it just that much worse for this particular type of dog. They are, in general, the most common breed. And by the way, a lot of them are mutts, and they're mixed with pit, and they get mislabeled pit, and they're not. Many people don't know a typical pit bull, like a true American pit bull, is supposed to be between 35 and 55 pounds. So they'll read a news report that's blown out of proportion, this 120-pound dog, blah, blah. And anyone who knows a pit bull knows that wasn't even a pit bull. I know. So much misinformation out there and confusion. And that just leads to more of this hysteria, and then when it turns into laws, that's where it gets really, really scary. And they're the wrong laws.
It is really scary. I agree with you, and I think that it's getting out of control. These laws, they're literally just taking a symptom. They're wanting to ban a symptom instead of facing a problem. And the symptom is a bunch of unwanted dogs that are being violently abused. Well, we got to figure out who's doing that, why, and stop it. That's really what needs to be focused on. Instead, they just want to get rid of the breeds. Two stories just came out recently that were just absolutely mind-blowing. I'm going to say them because they were national news anyways. I don't know if you guys heard about them, but there was one that was Halloween is considered National Kill a Pit Bull Day.
Oh, I didn't.
And Did you hear about that?
No.
No, I'm not. National Kill a Pit Bull Day. So I can't remember in what county it was, but they were saying that they're all of the dogs. They're not adopting any dogs out for the month of October because they're afraid of what could happen to them.
Oh man.
So far
that's sick. That's sick.
My
That's
reality,
really
and
sick.
it's so shocking and disturbing to hear something like that. I will say on what Angel City Pits tries to do, our group, it's really important to us to try and do the exact opposite of stories like that, and we're trying very hard to saturate the media airwaves with positive stories, and that is just such a horrible story.
Yeah, but it's also something that needs to be, like, and also trunking, that new thing that's going around. Also having knowledge of what's going on and the gravity of this situation, instead of just hearing the mainstream media stories about kids apparently getting mauled and this person got killed by a pit bull. There's also, like, groups that are, like, literally gathering to try to hurt these dogs. This has to be acknowledged and stopped, you know, and trunking now where they're putting two pit bulls in the trunk of a car and driving around and whichever one lives wins. I mean, this is a major problem. I mean, it's out of control. And again, I always go back to, I hate these stories. I don't post them. I don't post pictures of dogs. I can't handle that stuff. But I do think awareness is super important, and knowing what's going on and the actual like effort that's going in to destroy this breed.
Right.
People need to know them. People that are like on the fence about pit bulls or not necessarily educated about them. They're sometimes just as shocked when I fly Angel on planes and I tell them what's going on with pit bulls and, you know, stories like that, National Kill a Pit Bull Day or trunking or whatever's going on. They're just as shocked. They're like, really? People are really willing to do that? And it's like, yeah. And in a way, it kind of enlightens them. It's like, well, why are they being singled out? Like, why is it just this breed? I mean, yes, it happens to other dogs too, but
do you know why?
Really,
Rebecca, because it's
well, if
easy.
you study the history, that unfortunately there are different like periods during our country's history anyway, where there was a time where everyone hated bloodhounds, or they hated Dobermans, or they hated Rottweilers. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is like the time of where they're hating pit bulls. But I think part of why this is so much worse, in my opinion, is because pit bulls are so mixed. So it's like a even bigger umbrella that's being placed over so many dogs. So you can really tell, like, what a Doberman looks like. And you've got...
You mean under the umbrella... You mean you're saying they're all being lumped into under the umbrella of a quote-unquote bully breed?
Why there's more maybe being affected all at once. Like, it's because it's so hard for people to determine what is a pit bull. People have these very, very varied opinions and ideas, but I'm not saying that that's the only reason why. I mean, there's so many levels to it. I think right now, like I said, it's cool for people that are uneducated and probably have had a rough upbringing in many ways in their minds to abuse. So foreign for my brain to even imagine this, but for them to want to abuse and do the things that you're describing. And then you have the other side of the coin, which is the good people out there that are so afraid that they're willing to just let them die and get rid of them and not see them as victims, like what I was saying before. So
yeah, that's why those stories are important for some people to hear, because then they understand and grasp onto. I do understand, you know, my first dog was a German Shepherd, and I used to still get the fear. You know, people would go, oh, that's it. You know, I had her for 11 and a half years, and people were very scared of her. I got her, 20 years ago, and I dealt with it, but this is a completely different level. It's like what you were saying, Steph. It's like when they see you with a pit bull walking down the street, they bolt, they run, they move. It is like this visceral. Sometimes, I walk through airports. I travel with Angel. I've been traveling with her for 4.5 years. We've been all over the country, everywhere, in all different states, southern states, East Coast, West Coast, and people have crazy visceral reactions to pit bulls.
Which is why Rebecca's really funny to watch in person at her shows, because, like all good comedians, she takes these really intense, horrible things and turns them into hilarious stories on stage, which we appreciate, because sometimes you need to bring a little brevity to the situation because it is so awful on some levels. But I do tell people when they adopt a dog from us very often, well, a lot of us do, but it is funny when you adopt a pit bull type dog. I don't find when you're walking your dog that people are indifferent. I've actually had people run across the street towards my dog just to be like, oh my God, I have a pit. They're the best dogs. They're so, misunderstood.
Yes.
And they want to pet my dog, and then you have the opposite reaction. But people aren't indifferent about it.
No, it's black and white, and that's why the ones that we need to reach. Some like how presidents are trying to reach the people that are on the fence. We need to reach the people who aren't necessarily educated and let them know both sides. Let them know about the dogs and meet them, and also hear about how they're being victimized and say, we got to stop this. Don't just stand by. And that's why I love inviting everybody to stand up for pits, because lots of people that come to stand up for pits are not pit. They're not even pit owners, but they're coming because they've met Angel. They love animals, and they're always so excited when they come to the dog adoption, and the feedback has been so great when they see the dogs, and they're like, oh my God, they're so amazing. And so many people, so many of my friends, I'm sure the same with you, Steph, that they've adopted pit bulls and never even thought about doing it until they met you or your dog and heard about them, right?
Absolutely. I even remember my dad, I love this story, but when we first got Bruce Lee, and he was like, oh, this dog's great. Oh, wow, he's just so great. Look how calm he is. He really listens. He's like petting him. And then he looks up, he goes, are you sure this is a pit bull? I don't think this is a pit bull. And we're like, yes. But suddenly you love the dog and you want to change what it is. But now he's, converted and understands. And it's not converted. It's more about educated, I guess, would be. And I'm not saying pit bull type dogs are for everyone. I believe everyone's an individual. I have no problem with someone who wants to own a different type of dog. I would never presume to go into someone else's house and tell them about their dog and why they shouldn't have it and why they shouldn't do this and try to ban it. And I'm just shocked.
No, but that's a good point that you're bringing up, though. Like you're saying, because pit bulls are hyper, smart. They're part of they're terriers. They're incredibly smart. They're loyal. They're hyper. They're strong-willed. And they love hard, and they play hard, and you've got to be a responsible owner. There's no question about it. You can't
some are not hyper at all, though. We have some really mellow dogs, too. Again, I think, what we get our dogs, so Angel City Pit Bulls, we go into the shelters here in Los Angeles, of which there are many. There's city shelters, there are county shelters, and there's humane societies here, and everybody's full to the brim with dogs, unfortunately. We have a huge overpopulation of pets here. And we look specifically for pits, and it's not hard to find these type dogs, and we do evaluations on them, and we do a 45-minute usually type evaluation just to really get an idea of their personality and their temperament. And it helps us, obviously, to know what foster home that they'll be best placed in. Our dogs don't go to a facility or a boarding place. I mean, sometimes they might if the foster parent's out of town or something, or they need socialization. But we really know basically how much work it's going to take. And unfortunately, there's so many dogs that we can often just find A-plus temperament dogs. But we meet a lot that are really mellow. And granted, a lot of them are mixed with different things. And we meet some that are really active and amazing agility champs. I mean, we've got all types. So we encourage people when they're looking to adopt a dog to go to adoptions, to go to shelters, to really meet the animals, and also to really think about what they want in their life. Do they want a hiking partner? Do they want, a cuddle bug? I will say with pits, the one general common trait, this is what I love about them, they are really childlike, and they want to be around you all the time. They're not that independent dog that wants to sit outside by itself all day, And this is what I love about them. They're really emotional and sensitive, and they want to be with you. But, yeah, their energy levels shift from dog to dog.
But Angel City Pits doesn't just take only you guys take dogs that need work and are troubled and stuff,
We do,
right?
And we have them for a much longer time.
Yes.
My little man, Disney we've had for 10 months at this point. But, and then we have had Nemo for 2 years. I mean, I'm just talking about random dogs that you don't know. But on our website, we feature all of them. They're on Facebook and Twitter, and we try to include everyone in their stories because it's all part of the ups and downs of rescue. And then we have dogs that we have for 2 minutes, and they're adopted, and then some we have for a long time. So it all depends, and we're always very grateful when a family comes to us and they want that story. They want the journey. They want to be a part of rehabilitating and working with the dog. I wish there were more people out there, but like that. But And if they are out there and they haven't found their dog yet, please do go to our website and contact us, of course.
Yeah, or if you're in Los Angeles, come to the event. And the show is hosted by Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang Theory, who is absolutely amazing.
Ever.
What's that?
Well,
oh, sorry, we're all talking at once.
We're all talking. It's like a party line. We have a party line here.
Yeah, we have a party line on it. Well, I just wanted to, let me just throw out the names really quick. Kaylee Cuoco, I got to do the first stand-up for Pits in L.A. last year because they had a little bit of fallout, and she turns out huge pit lover, advocate, and said to me after the show, I will do whatever it takes to help you, if you want to keep doing this event. And I said, that's so awesome. And so I contacted her manager again this year, and she was like, I'm absolutely excited to do it and we'll do it. And then I got Brody Stevens, Eddie Pepitone, and Rob Delaney are also on the show, and they are absolutely hilarious. And they're going to be there. And then Monica Hoover from Rescue Cards is going to be there, too, taking pictures and also doing the red carpet. And it's just really exciting, and the feedback's been amazing, and ticket sales are pretty good. There's still tickets available, though, so people need to get on it. And then there's a dog adoption from 4 to 7.
Beforehand, right next door, which is a great opportunity to come, and silent auction items. And then after an event like that, you just go into this awesome theater and watch people and laugh. I mean, it's like such a great night.
I know. Oh, and there is beer. Yeah.
Huh.
Right.
Hey,
there's beer.
Rebecca, you're going to have Angel in the kissing booth, right?
Yes, actually, that's correct. Angel City is building a kissing booth for Angel, and it's going to be Kiss an Angel for $1. And if she gets tired, because kissing takes a lot of energy, there's plenty of other dogs that are willing to give kisses for $1. And then Angel will make her debut at the end of the show, and we have a signed harmonica from Alanis Morissette and a signed little special gift from Fiona Apple that are going to be raffled off at the end of the night. And then Angel makes her debut and tries to eat everyone's nachos.
And I do urge any of the listeners that are in LA, even if you're not in LA, if you can get to it, but if you're in LA, go to see the show, Stand Up the Pits. Go there, show your support. If you're an animal lover, just go out there because Rebecca Corry, she's doing something great. Angel City Pits, they're doing something amazing because they don't have a shelter. They're actually going out there and rescuing these animals from place to place to place to place. And Steph, I wanted to ask you something. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you guys are rescuing the pit bulls from the shelters, and if you don't rescue them, they're going to put them to sleep. So you're doing a fantastic thing. Now, you have people that go to pet shops and so on and so forth, and they go and they buy little puppies. And a lot of these puppies are from puppy mills, and that's something I'm going to cover in the next segment. But, it's a lot better to actually go through an organization like yours to get your next pet. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to just say three things to what you just said. The first is, while we say rescue, you say we're rescuing from the shelters. I always feel kind of sad about that wording because, and I get where it comes from, but the shelters are full of these wonderful employees that put up with really what I consider some of the hardest job in the world. I mean, especially if you're an animal lover, and many of the people that work there, they love animals. That's why they got involved. And it's not like anyone there wants to put these animals to sleep. It's horrible. I think, we're rescuing them from the situation that they're in, which is really funded by us, the taxpayers, and us and anyone in our cities that decides to turn a blind eye and not care about these issues, which, I feel like we'd have just as many stray dogs and cats on the streets as some third world countries because we just don't see them. They're just rounded up and pulled into a back room and, euthanized. And so just to keep in mind that this is a problem that we've created, like we the citizens with irresponsibility. And then, now these shelters are overwhelmed. I mean, they might have 200 slots and they have 384 dogs on, especially like holidays such as July 4th or when there's fireworks and dogs get out. That's when the most animals are put to sleep every year, and people don't know that. And so what happens is they have to make room, and the dogs that are not adopted very often, because of a lot of stereotypes and whatnot, may be pit bulls, so they're often on the first of the dogs to be used. So it all kind of trickles and everything works together. And when the shelter workers have great pit bulls and they start to stress out, they really know their dogs there and they don't want
is that Bruce Lee? Is that Bruce Lee?
Oh, making that noise?
Yeah.
No, am I going in now?
It's Angel.
It's
okay,
Angel.
Oh,
we're in the hotel, and Angel. Yeah.
She's a troublemaker. She's definitely a troublemaker. I know her. But yeah,
it reminds me when little kids don't want their mom on the phone. I know, but it's like, so at the end of the day, the shelter groups will get stressed out, and they'll put out the word to all the rescue groups, and that's when we try to put out the word to our people, like, can you take another foster dog? Can you take this, etc. And we'll go in and take who we can. And there's so many other groups that, like Best Friends, for instance, that I love that, have taken so many dogs out of the shelters as well. But at the end of the day, you're right. There's a huge problem with people not going straight to the shelter to adopt dogs. Or if they want to go to a rescue group, what we have that's kind of neat is that our dogs aren't coming from a kennel or a cage. They're coming from foster homes, so we really know them. Like, if you adopted a dog that has been living with me for 5 months, I can tell you everything about that dog. I can tell you what he's afraid of, what he likes to eat, if he has allergies, like, for instance, some dogs eat.
That's the positive. A lot of people are like, well, I just want to go to the pound, but I don't know what I'm going to get. And it's kind of like, you don't. That's why you should go to groups like Angel City Pits and
right, if you're really not aware.
Area. That's right.
Yeah. And then the last thing with the buying of dogs, I don't find that there's a lot of puppy mills making pit bulls, gratefully. However, the sad truth is there's a lot of backyard breeders doing it. And and just to give you one little story that I found really interesting working in a rougher.
We're just gonna have to be a little quick with that stuff because we only have about another. Okay.
And I also,
so
before you tell it, Steph, before you tell it really quick, I do want you to tell people, before we go, what Angel City Pits needs most right now, whether it be fosters or donations or both, and how people can do that. But go ahead.
Well, okay, so quickly. I just found it interesting. This one person who was a backyard breeder basically told me that he was breeding, he had a litter of puppies, and there were only 2 blue pit bulls in the puppies, and then the rest were all mixed colors. So he kept the brother and the sister because he really wanted blue puppies, and then he bred them. And that was just fascinating to me to hear because he knew nothing about genetics. He knew nothing that you have a much higher chance of breeding now of not temperament correct dog that may be mental because you're breeding a brother and sister. And so, like, this is where it starts getting really crazy. And I'm not trying to knock. Like, when breeding started, I'm sure people had the best of intentions, but at this point, I don't see a need to breed when there are so many dying in our shelters. So I'm not saying that breeders are horrible people, but obviously you have to do it smartly.
But they need to do it smart now. And just do me a favor, Steph. Just give out the website, give out your Twitter, so our listeners can reach out to you guys because we have to go to break.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. And obviously, if you have any questions or you want to learn more or you want to help spread the good word, we're at angelcitypits, PITS.org, and we're also at Angel City Pits on Twitter. I'm at Steffi Lems on Twitter, and I will help anyone who's having any issues getting on there or finding it. And then we have a Facebook page, which is Angel City Pit Bulls. We are on actually a couple episodes of, Shorty Rossi Show on Animal Planet. Like, we've got a lot of different things, and we're going to be at Stand Up for Pits, which is on Rebecca's page as well. So we really appreciate it. And what we need the most, I would say, donations are helpful, absolutely, always, if you can't, come out in person. But we really need foster families. We need people to join our efforts. And if you can't donate money and you can't foster, then you can share our page. And even if you aren't in L.A. and you're listening right now, I'm sure you have a friend, a cousin, or someone you know that lives in L.A. You can send them the link. You can tell them about our event. So, just
great. And they can also find me at the Rebecca Corry. And then
at the Rebecca Corry on Twitter.
Yeah,
at the Rebecca Corry on Twitter.
Go to
RebeccaCorry.com. Find out about Stand Up for Pits. If you're in L.A. November 4th, go down there. Go support a great cause, great event. And, guys, thank you for coming on the show. And we're going to have you back on the future. Rebecca, have a great time tonight. You're going on stage in a half hour. Enjoy. And thank you again.
Thank
Thank
you
you, Steph.
so much.
Okay.
Take care.
You're listening to UCW Radio.
In your face.
I like their size,
I love their texture.
their shape, feel. They complete me.
Big, small, it doesn't matter.
Yes, I like boobies.
Love boobies.
Yes, I love boobies.
Yes, I love boobies. I love boobs.
Most of us know someone.
Who's been affected by breast cancer?
My friend, my piano teacher,
My sister.
my aunt.
My teacher. My two aunts.
My Aunt Rachel.
I beat breast cancer.
We can beat this together.
Show the world how much you care.
And join us in the fight.
Because it's more than just boobs.
It's life.
It's my great honor to present Cheng Guang-chung with this Human Rights Award. Ladies and gentlemen, Cheng Guang-chung. I have not been officially trained in the law, but one doesn't need to go to a special school to understand justice.
Hello?
No one with a conscience can stand by when innocent people are bullied and beaten till they bleed. That's why those called barefoot lawyers got our hands on law books and passed them battered from use, from person to person. We studied the rules so we could play by them, even while Chinese authorities ignore them. As I learn about the law in America, it is clear that Western lawyers operate on the notion that speaking up makes a positive difference. As you say here, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Despite all that he inherited, President Obama did not repair our economy. He did not save Medicare and Social Security. He did not tame the spending and borrowing. He did not reach across the aisle to bring us together. Nor did he stand up to China's trade practices or deliver on his promise to remake our relations with the Muslim world, where anti-American extremism is on the rise. What he inherited wasn't the only problem. What he did with what he inherited made the problem worse. In just 4 short years, he borrowed $6 trillion nearly, adding almost as much debt held by the public as all prior American presidents combined. Today we received, by the way, the latest round of discouraging economic news. Last quarter, our economy grew at just 2%. After the stimulus was passed, the White House promised that the economy would now be growing at 4.3%, over twice as fast. Slow economic growth means slow job growth and declining take-home pay. That's what 4 years of President Obama's policies have produced.
Dogs Last Chance, also known as Last Chance for Animals, conducts undercover investigations into the nation's most notorious dog dealers and puppy mills.
He's a baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. You can do it. I love my baby. Okay.
Special Investigations Unit, or SIU, gathers undercover footage and documentation which is used to prosecute perpetrators and help get animal-friendly legislation passed. The SIU's undercover investigations into Class B dealers, known for stealing pets and selling them to research facilities, resulted in the first felony conviction in U.S. history for an animal-related crime, first permanent revocation of a Class B dealer license, and the largest fine ever imposed on a Class B dealer. LCA's work is only possible through the generous support of people like you. Your donation will help keep LCA's investigators in the field.
Look at you. Hey, you. How you doing, huh? How are you, huh?
Hi. Sia here, the better half of the Barbi twins. Shane and I are here today protesting the pet shops because pet shops and internets are the ones that buy from puppy mills. And puppy mills are bad news. You don't want to ever get a puppy from a pet shop or the internet because the puppy mills mass produce these poor little dogs day and night, year-round, heat, cold, it doesn't matter. They're outside in small cages, treated like property. They don't have names, they have numbers, they don't care if they're dying, malnutrition. They just mass produce until they get enough puppies to put in each of these pet stores or the internet. And these puppies end up sick because they're interbred with each other. They're malnutrition. you will end up with tons and tons of vet bills all the way. So please do your part. You can write your lawmakers, state and federal, to ban puppy mills. You can give information out to everyone to ban puppy mills by protesting pet shops that get these puppies. And about 99% of pet shops do, regardless of what they say, get their puppies from puppy mills. So it's a no-no on pet shops and internet.
You're listening to UCW Radio.
In your face.
All right, welcome back to the UCW Radio Show and to our special edition of the show. We spoke with comedian and actress Rebecca Corry, actress Stephanie Lemmlin of Angel City Pits, and it was a great conversation. Now we're going to dig deeper into the world of animal rescue and activism, even with the misconceptions that are out there. Our next guests, they are beyond amazing people. The first, I would consider them being legends in the world of Playboy and entertainment, and heroes in the world of animal activism. They have been extremely vocal in their beliefs and have saved hundreds of animals by using their celebrity status to bring attention to these causes. And our other special guest is also an activist, and he's also a contributing editor to National Geographic. And with that said, please welcome our guests, none other than the Barbi twins, Shane and Sia, as well as Jordan Schaul. Welcome,
Hi.
guys.
Thank you very much
for
having us on the show. Yeah, I think we've entered into a movement where we have to kind of debunk all these theories that are not working, because insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and expecting different results. No one has ever shown me or other people any stats to show this status quo that there's too many pets and not enough owners. Not true. I saw during Katrina rescue that the regular average person, and we do all kinds of rescue during the Malibu fires and everything, I was shocked how the average person that didn't know anything about rescue wanted to get involved. So I wanted to go back to the drawing board and see where the problem is, why the system is so broken. Why can we say that we're killing so much in pet overpopulation, yet at the other instance we say that there's a booming business of puppy mills and breeders? I mean, that doesn't match. I mean, someone here is not coming up with the right numbers. The truth is just like with the horses, the more we kill, the bigger the window for breeders and puppy mills. So we got to stop the killing. And I don't like to use the word to put to sleep. That's ridiculous. We are killing them in the shelters, and people need to go to the bump group to see that. But unlike most people, I believe that people, I've seen it myself during Katrina rescue and Malibu fires and all that, have a heart. We saw it during the Luca Magnetta kitten killer. Everybody wanted the average. I would never underestimate the average person that wants to help. I even had a Holocaust survivor that was scared to death of German shepherds because of what he went through. He was a survivor, and but he wanted to help out with the animals during Katrina. And I just thought that was so outrageous how everybody wants to help, but there's a huge gap between the people who want to help and rescuers, God bless them, but they're in this trance, like in a broken record, where they have, they're dictated by this too many pets and not enough, and this obligation of literally putting their principle of the right to an animal to live behind and condoning death. I don't. I embrace life. I came into this movement as a rescuer, as an animal rights person, and I believe, just like with people, that in countries where they're overpopulated and where they're sick, we don't kill people. We don't certainly need to not kill dogs and cats. We need to take that off the table and not make it an option, because it will be amazing how creative we are. Now, one thing I will go back to is I will make a bet, because that woman seems so sweet that rescues pits, that she is in a far different world than people who work at the shelter. I can never.
Who are you talking about?
The last person that was on the radio, that was Stephanie.
I'm sorry.
That was on the radio who did pit bulls, which I love her for because they have such a bad stigma. As an ex-horse trainer and an ex-dog trainer, we've learned with herd animals to never go by the breed. It gives you a clue of what they've done.
Breed-specific legislation, BSL.
Yeah, BSL, a breed-specific legislation. We're doing a documentary about Lennox, and the whole symbolic message that people keep losing is not that we're fighting for the underdog that pit bulls hated. It's that we shouldn't judge any species by a specific breed or race. It's like judging a human being by
discrimination.
It certainly is. It's like calling someone, by their race rather than a human species. An animal is a pack animal. They become exactly what you want. The breed will give you a clue to what they were bred for. But bottom line, every dog has a potential of being the best dog. I mean, they're phenomenal. If they can sniff out cancer, then we should never underestimate their potential. And they are the product of what we make them. Now, the problem about Americans is that we anthropomorphize them. And this is a word everybody should learn. We humanize them. We think dogs want to be humans, and they don't. And it's not just the dressing up. We give them words like they have anxiety, they have this. We give them a personality. When a dog wants to be a dog, they respond to hierarchy. They're
pack followers.
They're pack followers. They do not want to be a leader. They make manic, reluctant leaders. So when you are not giving structure, boundaries, and limitations to these animals, they become manic, and they give. So, but people don't say that they didn't rehabilitate the dog. They give them a name like, oh, this dog is nervous. This dog. No, dogs are not people. They don't have. I mean, some will have, a little bit. In a pack of 9 dogs, there will be a little bit more of an alpha dog, but mostly we should be the alpha dog and, be the pack leader so that the animal relaxes, put the ears back, relaxes the eyes.
Yeah, but the bottom line here that we want to get to the point is that dogs are pack followers and people are pack leaders. There's no such thing as a bad dog. There's only a bad pack leader.
It's another lame excuse to kill. And it's, when we were growing up, it was Dobermans. There will always be some breed.
We're the only country that is killing like we are, and yet we spend more money on animal rescue and animal charities than anyone else. So
we literally are profiting off the business of killing. So until we can go back to the drawing board, I hold the killers responsible. And what is that? Government shelters. If the government shelters could take the local, the city, and the county, could actually take your taxes, so it's our constitutional right to speak up, and do the work what volunteers do for free. I've seen the poorest, sickest people on their deathbed do things for free, network, that I don't see staff members do. And as long as my taxes is paying for government shelters, these other organizations are paying. They wouldn't even exist if it weren't for if these shelters did do their job. Now, one person I love that I really suggest everybody getting behind and just open up their mind is Nathan Winogrand of No Kill Revolution, because he proves, and after being hands-on in shelter after shelter after shelter, I came to the conclusion before I read his book that something's broken, something's not working, we're killing more, and nothing's working. So I came to the conclusion of what he did, that really that these shelters could do more, be more creative, if they took the option of killing off the table.
But what everyone needs to do, too? They need to call up the organization that they back, and they need to ask you guys rescue, because when I was in Katrina, I was shocked that the biggest animal organizations don't believe in rescue. They believe in killing.
No, they don't. They believe killing is saving.
And the average person doesn't know this. I see all these celebrities and regular people backing these huge organizations that don't rescue. They actually believe in killing dogs and cats.
And on my deathbed, I will never back or condone killing, ever. There is never a reason to kill an animal. I think there should be hospice, rehabilitation. 80% of dogs are returned because of rehabilitation. So let's get the city to pay for dog training.
Okay. 80%
of 80% of shelter killings are cats. Let's do TNR. So going back to the puppy mills, they wouldn't even exist, just like horse breeders, if we got people to the shelters. Because you know what? People's ego love to rescue. There might be some bad ones that dump, but if there was a sign at the shelter that said 90% chance your animal will not get adopted, and you could, why don't you watch how your dog's going to get killed or sold to bee dealers or whatever the thing is, those owners might think twice, but better, maybe we'll find a better home. Because instead of people searching on the Internet for this booming business of puppy mills and kit mills, because it is bigger than ever, people are getting rich off of this. Now, how can that be if we have too many animals that we're killing on the Internet? People would die. They were paying money for a Katrina rescue because their ego likes to...
Wait, we're killing them on the Internet? No, we're killing them in these shelters.
Yes, we are.
So, yeah, you said the Internet.
We certainly are. The biggest killer of animals, unfortunately, to me, is the government. The government uses its taxes to kill shelter pets, and we can demand with our constitutional right, as long as we're paying taxes, to turn no kill. And if we can
let loose speak.
Let
loose speak.
Yeah, but you know the thing is, I mean, I enjoy the conversation because you're giving a lot of information, and that's what you guys came on the show for, to give the information. I know, C and I was speaking earlier, when I had Chris DeRose on the show, with Last Chance for Animals.
I love him. He started it.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart, Brooklyn boy. And when I had him on the show, him and I were, going over a lot of stuff about how he was raised and how he grew up, and when he went to L.A., what he saw, and then what he actually was doing. And, he even got arrested for what he was doing. And, I mean, he held true to his beliefs. And when he was talking to me about the puppy mills and giving some reality to the situation, it's kind of sad. When
no. I mean, no one knows Chris DeRose better than us. I mean, he started us in 1989, and then we became very close family friends. He's definitely the real deal, and to me, the best organization out there with the best investigators. Yes, he would show me these videos. That's what got me started. But I also got into animal rescue and hands-on. He was into animal rights. But lo and behold, he did team up with one of his shows with the Dog Whisperer, something for some reason rescuers hate, Cesar Millan. And Cesar Millan, he told me this, Chris DeRose. He said, wow, he has saved more pit bulls than most pit bull rescues. You know why? Because he'll take the most, quote, vicious dog and rehabilitate them, meaning it's not the dog, it's the way that we rehabilitate them.
And if that doesn't prove something, as you said earlier, it's not the dog, it's the owner. You train the owner to train the dog, and then you eliminate the problem. So it's about training the owner.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
telling you,
also goes,
a dog can be a weapon. And people, you get so insulted. It's like as if you're talking about their kid. When you talk about, you need to train your animal, they get so offended. As they should be, because you are really offending them that they're not
in the puppy state and domesticated tame, which is not natural. So we have to constantly be the mom puppy and give them structure, boundaries, and limitations. When they slip out of that and they have no structure, like a 2-year-old that's screaming in the market that has ADD, then they turn into predatorial nature, which is staring, stalking, preying, grabbing, killing. And you want to stop that. You want to relax their eyes, their ears go back. They're they're more relaxed. I hate to use that word training because it's, I'm anti-circus,
it's really
animal rights.
It's really called socializing them.
Yeah, or rehabilitation, putting them back to being a dog. It's like riding a bike. They remember. And it's they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's false. You can make an old dog back to being a dog because that's their nature.
Mm-hmm. And that's now. Do you guys think that the media plays a big role in the perception that people have when it comes to animals?
I think the media.
Wait,
the media
two things here. Wait, I want to say this. Two things on this. There's a lot of the big organizations, I didn't know this, that have an actual separate 501c3 just for press. So they are a monopoly in there. So while I was down in Katrina, I saw a lot of fluff pieces on TV. The real story didn't come out until my sister went on Howard Stern and started blasting, the animal organizations, that animals were dying down there because people wanted the donations, they wanted a fluff piece. So that's one. And two, when we're working like with Willie Nelson and these other generous stars with the wild horses and trying to expose what's going on, we're going up against the Bureau of Land Management, or even when we debated Wyoming State Representative Sue Wallace, we're going up against appointed government officials that people look at as if they are the advocate or the spokesperson for, these animals. When they have an agenda, they're actually merging with, the big government is merging with big business and becoming a monopoly.
Management is a federal agency that is government. It is government that actually sides with cattlemen or foreign businesses to make a profit off of your taxes for an overseas profit that doesn't benefit the U.S.
Lou, what's interesting about this is that when we're doing the media, for some odd reason, we're getting censored on the truth. And they look at the Bureau of Land Management, for instance, as the spokesperson for unbiased truth, which it is not. They've got an agenda. They were, created originally to eradicate the horses, and they're under this myth that they're protecting and trying to, gather the horses for adoption when they have an ulterior motive. That's not the case.
So it's a cloak and dagger. Well, it's a cloak and dagger situation. They'll show you what they want you to see, but they're doing something else behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, but it's as my sister said, because there is business going on. But we can keep it simple here, and that is especially because it's election year. These poor people doing petitions, representatives throw them out. That's such a waste. Get on the phone, faxes, go to your local townhouse meetings. Talk to your representative. Don't look for animal lovers. Look for hoary politicians that want your vote and want to hear what you want. Because just 20 calls to D.C. or your representative represents a lot to per day, let's say, to a representative that may be pro-horse slaughter and then maybe, change, or maybe they want to have a reputation of having a no-kill shelter and be the first in that city, like in Austin. They have, Nathan worked with this guy, Ryan Clinton, on Pets Alive in Austin, and there's proof that a shelter can turn no-kill. And it's wonderful to see stuff like that.
It made history.
But we can, since it's election year, we can put this out there. As long as taxes is our paying government,
our grammar sucks. So
okay, whatever. As long as taxes is paying out, you can know that is your constitutional right to say no, because that's what government has, that to say no. And the biggest killer of animals is, to me, the government, because right now they're killing wolves to help the cattlemen. The rich cattlemen can take care of themselves. For profit, we'll never see. And so even if you hate wolves, shelter pets, and horses, I would just be saying, I don't want my taxes paying for this. And so, just tell the representatives what you want. It's very easy. You just call the White House switchboard, and start dictating what you want, or go to your local townhouse meetings and talk to your local and federal representatives.
People are under the impression that Obama gave more work and jobs. That's what I keep seeing on Twitter. When he lifted the ban on horse slaughter by allowing USDA to make inspections with our tax dollars, well, what's happening, we don't see any of the profit. We just pay for those inspections. So it doesn't matter if you like.
The Agricultural Department, as long as government have their hands in it, they are hiding behind business. And I, as a bleeding heart liberal, I'm kind of changing my mind here when it comes to animals, and I want to stay independent. Or we call ourselves. Wait a minute,
you're bleeding heart hardly.
No, I know. Well, the thing is that I am a Green Tea Party. I want government to stay out of unless they're paying for my animal charities. They've done such a horrible job, and every time they subsidize some type of, we saw this with Solandra, some type of green job, it doesn't work. It's better to just have charities from free enterprise, and just let me pay for my own charities, and just let my taxes go to beliefs that I want. And as long as I'm paying taxes, I don't want them to kill an endangered species. Do you know right now taxes is actually allowing ranchers to gas the dens of baby wolves in Montana, Idaho, that area, to save the cattlemen's cows. And so they're already endangered. So they're breaking that law of endangered species to help those guys who are already wealthy with our money. And so people should be outraged on this. So I think there just needs to be restructure and we can do it ourselves, of first of all taking accountability. Stop blaming other people. Let's start taking accountability ourselves and not be blaming victims and say how awful people are. No, we're all in this together, and we can make a change. Let's change the system. Let's get different policies going, because we're doing the same thing over and over. Let's talk to our representatives. It's election year. They want to hear what we want. We can even create laws, protest, do whatever we want, because these guys want to get voted. They want to have an image. We don't have to.
The reality is that, whether someone is for or against the, I'm going to call it the extermination, because that's what it is. That's what they're doing, the extermination of these animals, these wild animals, whether they're for it or against it. Why would anyone want their tax dollars to go for it?
Exactly. And can I tell you something?
But those tax dollars can go for education, can go for something else that's positive. Killing animals is not so much of a positive thing in my eyes.
No, but let me tell you how it first started. Henry Berg in 1866 came over here, a very wealthy Russian, and saw a horse get beat, so he made the SPCA. And when he saw he wanted rights for the animals. When he saw animal control, who was run by the health department for safety reasons of dead animals or dog bites from people, killing dogs, and they did what was called management by death, which is what the Nazis did. And they have this, that native term, the plant that lived on the land owns the land. They do that with the feral cats and feral horses, which is so ridiculous. They don't take into consideration that we're the biggest ferals. But it's just another way to do the Sophie's choice of eradicating one species over another, when we should just embrace life and not do this management by death whatsoever. But when he saw that the animal control were killing these animals, he made the ASPCA. The problem is that the ASPCA fought animal control, saying, let's not kill them, let's adopt them out. When he died, the ASPCA joined up with animal control. So we've never gotten away from that line of thought that we have to manage by death. And we don't. We can do with what Henry Berg, he'd be rolling in his grave, originally wanted, and that is that every life is precious, and that we can all try, and human beings are wonderful in the way that their heart is there. They want to help. I've seen
Well, you saw that with Michael Vick, so...
Absolutely. You see it over and over. You saw it here in California with Prop Prop 8 doesn't pass, but Prop 2 does. Why? Because everybody loves animals. That's across the board. There's more dog and cat owners than there are parents. In fact, Geraldo said with Vic he would have been better off as a child molester. So why are we doing this thing of blaming people of how awful they are and allowing this justification to kill animals? I think we should take it off the table and start a new movement where we embrace life and think of different options.
Well,
a
Jordan,
lot of people.
Well,
go ahead.
I want you to join the conversation.
Sure.
You're pretty quiet.
Good luck.
Good luck, Jordan. Yeah, they know that I've learned my lesson long ago, so go ahead.
By the way, it's Dr. Jordan Schaul.
Jordan Schaul,
Go ahead.
National Geographic. No, join the conversation. What's your
view?
What
Let me jump in with regard to Shane's comment. I think that in the scheme of things, it's really hard to stop the kill. I'm not condoning this, but I think it's very hard once you set things out of balance to balance things again with regard to managing big game animals. So I don't think that everyone is necessarily has the same intention of extirpating everything. I think that once you allow, for example, a carnivore to decimate a population of hoof stock, say wolves and moose, and we've jumped in and intervened, we create problems, and so unfortunately we have to go back in and do something again. I'm not condoning it by any means.
No. Can I interject? Because I'll give you the best example. And that is we have an overpopulation of coyotes. Why? Because our wolves are endangered. So, but we're allowed to also go, by the way, animals procreate that are wild according to their food source. So they manage their own popular. We jump in, who's the gluttons, at the top of the food chain, and we ruin it. And we justify it by going in because of our indulgences of having too much, we eat too much salmon and fish, so we go kill the seals, to make up for our consumption of fish. Yes, or dolphins or whatever. The thing is that it is ridiculous when we're at the top of that food chain to actually condone any type of killing, because nature will balance itself out by itself. That is why nature put this thing of an animal will only procreate according to its food source. What a better way to manage population than that.
Well, I certainly agree with that, Shane, but I would add that there are some synergistic activities going on where you have multiple factors coming into play. I'll give you an example. El Nino, which is a tropical weather pattern in the Pacific that's intermittent. If you combine that with the effects of climate change, and I'm this is hypothetical, you're gonna create problems that I think it's very hard for humans to basically fix. So on their own.
Well, can I say something
let nature
with that?
fix on its own. They have to go in, and unfortunately, they may have to intervene.
Dr. Jordan, what would you say that our biggest problem that's going to ruin the planet, and nature has its own way of balancing itself out, is human population? We would never dream of that with humans, to manage the population the Nazis tried that, and by the way, it's not working. The more we're killing, the more we got to kill. So killing or management by death, which did not work with the Nazis, because thank God the Jewish community is still here, it just can't work that way. We have to figure out other ways. We are a world of many nations, and we need to learn to exist and appreciate life and migration and everything that comes with it, because whether it's El Nino or whatever it may be, we are the biggest invaders, and since we've accommodated ourselves very well, we can do the same with nature and just look at each other from every species as a world without imperializing them, as a world of many nations that need to learn to coexist with each other and not picking one species over another to like it's Sophie's Choice.
Gosh, when we're looking at other species and saying, wow, they're overpopulated, that's like an obese person looking at someone that's 10 pounds overweight saying, you're really fat, or something. And by the way, when people talk about pet overpopulation, if only 2%, for instance, in Los Angeles, if 2% of the population went out to get a shelter pet, there would be no pets in the shelter.
Yeah, really.
So
no one's ever given me the real numbers except to prove that there's no pet overpopulation. That is such an old, dated justification of killing.
Well, I also think that if we go back to the event, we headed off. We went to the other night for the feral cat problem, or with the Cat Alliance program.
Stray Cat Alliance event.
Stray Cat Alliance. I think that's a perfect example. If you look at the cats that we've introduced to various continents, to continents like Australia, where they didn't exist prior. That's something that.
Oh, yes, I'm glad you're bringing this up.
I agree with you. I think that we can't relinquish responsibility. Once we introduce a cat, the population, say, becomes feral, then we need to go in and we need to handle the situation. And I think, yes, that it's inappropriate to just exterminate and extirpate population.
Absolutely, but people are forgetting
it doesn't work.
Let me give you an example. Cats are not the best bird hunters, opposed to what people say. Their urine is something that keeps rats away. What breeds the fastest and gives the most diseases? Rats. They have actually saved us, and every time we demonize cats, it doesn't matter where in the world. We have gotten the worst plagues that almost killed out human species. And by the way, when you demonize cats, you've also gotten rid of, guess what, tree rats, which can wipe out species of birds. So where this fallacy is that they're the worst for birds.
No, you didn't get rid of them. What happens is that you imbalance it and the tree rats become overpopulated.
There's nothing wrong with trap, neuter, and return. That is the most humane, successful way of bringing down the numbers.
Yes.
I think since the beginning of time, I'll even go to the history of the United States. From the time that the settlers came here, they were building and ripping down trees and building and growing and forcing certain species to relocate. So it comes to a point like right now in Florida, the Alligator Alley, that they're building so much over there. Now the gators are going on people's property.
It's called migration, and I'm glad you brought that up. And it's no different than when we migrated from, a lot of people say, from Africa to the north, and we had to learn to use tools in the winter and stuff like that. We learn to adapt to our environment, and all animals do that. And that's why we need to coexist to whatever comes into our system. Dogs and cats are here because of us. So it's not our responsibility to kill them. It's our responsibility to trap, neuter, return them. That's a good thing to do.
When an alligator or a mountain lion is in your backyard, I want to tell that person it's their backyard as well. And it's something that we've got to realize.
30 years, this planet will not even have any food sources. We are going to have to be cannibalists to eat each other. And by the way, I want to start a new thing where you donate a body. So for those who think that pet food it does seem like a paradox here. You kill farm animals for a pet, and so a lot of people don't believe in that, although they're cannibalists. I think that
carnivore.
Yeah, carnivores. We should be able to donate our body back to the planet since we're at the top of the food chain. But the biggest problem here is overpopulation. That's what's going to eat up our sources.
That does sound like a bleeding heart liberal.
Yeah, that's some serious stuff.
And Sheena's opinions aren't necessarily Shane's opinions. Okay, go ahead. Just because you look
I am anti-big government because of they are the number one killers of wolves, horses, and shelter pets. But we are starting what's called the green tea diploradicals, which is a party that is for the real 99 percenters, and that's the environment and the animals. There's no government there. I want government. I don't trust them out of my life. Basically, so that I am able to, stick up for animals. Now they have laws that you can't even protest for the animals because they'll call you an animal terrorist. And I want to be able to spend my money not on killing animals with taxes, but on charities that will help. Best Friends, by the way,
wait, you want to spend
job
money? You said that backwards. You don't want to spend money killing.
Spend my money, not taxes, my own money towards charities.
Right, not killing an animal.
No.
Well, let me ask you guys something. I'm going to ask your opinion, everyone, including Jordan. You're going to get a voice here, my man.
Got it.
But we're in an election year, okay? You have, I really don't want to get political, but you have, two men. You have Mitt Romney, you have Barack Obama, which is our current president, running for office. Now, in your opinion, do you think that one or the other would be, I guess, be more appropriate, more appropriate?
Friendly?
Environmentally friendly, but also to do more for animal causes and things of that nature. I'm just curious on your opinion because you guys are in the trenches with this.
Well, I certainly have an opinion for that. But
okay, let's just hear Jordan's. I don't want to hear yours, sis. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I think that, I look at things this way. We have concern for populations and we have concern for individual animal welfare. And I think that if you consider the population perspective, you want the more environmentally inclined to be in office, and that I think.
Okay, so who's that?
That would be your less than favorite right now. That would probably be Obama.
Well, can I interject, please?
Sure.
How can that be true? And this is what I'm asking these people, these environmentalists. Here's a new problem to that equation. When your biggest killer, example, BLM, is killing wolves in an endangered species, and Obama's administration, Salazar, Reid, Senator Reid, and Nancy Pelosi, all these people that are liberal are behind this. Why? Because it's taxes. It has nothing to do with environmental. People go by, their favorite word, special interest group. They go by what will help their politics. Because right now people are into jobs, the economy, things like that. So even if you hate horses or wolves, I would go with the guy that wants to cut taxes because that's going to be the first thing that's going to be cut.
A very good example. I'm not going to say I'm not on either of their side. But Obama had me, just like the movie said in the very beginning, because he said I was a mutt for the underdog, and he's, pro-horse slaughter ban and all this other stuff. Boy, did he do the switch around on all of that. So, yes, the left is supposed to be behind that, but they are no better than the right.
No,
and they go with
as a matter of fact, can I talk about animal rights?
Whoever greases their pockets.
Hang on here. He promised he campaigned to go against the Patriot Act. In May, he re-signed it, put it on steroids, which, by the way, was the birth of the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act, which makes all animal activists terrorists by that bill, protecting businesses that have animals from any type of protest. So it's protecting business over bodies. So he not only did that, he added the National Defense Authorization Act. That gives us a bill of the Ag-Gag bill, all these bills that don't allow not only for us to not protect the animals, but not to protect the food inspection.
But can I ask you a question? Because again, when I'm going to go back to, when I had Chris Rose on the show, because I know when he's
phenomenal. We love him.
Yeah, he's great. But I know when he got arrested, and we were talking about it.
I knew him back then.
They were passing a law to, if you interfered with a pet owner's store or something like that you can get arrested and you can be charged with terrorism.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, now, but
that's
now my
Animal
question.
Enterprise Terrorist Act.
Okay, Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act. All right,
but
now my
see, that,
question.
Excuse me, that passed in 1990.
My question. Right, but my question is this. Okay, so there's a law that if you are trying to bring attention or save an animal,
and
that
federal
you get.
law, yes.
But you get penalized for that. But what about the people that are actually doing bad things to these animals? You know,
doesn't matter.
Happens.
They are by law.
But
they're
nothing
under.
happens.
By the way, they have no rights because
right,
the USDA, another lovely department, does not allow them to be just commodities for that business. So they have no rights. You have no right to protect it, and you're interfering. What Oprah did with the mad cow disease by the AETA, which was done in 1996, she would be called a domestic terrorist of the United States, on top of KKK bombers and Unabombers. That is ridiculous.
That's insanity. That's insanity.
It was lovely Dianne Feinstein that introduced that bill.
Well, you know what's funny, and I'll say this real quick. I remember one day I had the TV on and Family Guy was on, and there was this. I don't watch it usually. It was just on TV.
I love that.
And then you had the dog. I don't know what the dog's name.
Brian.
Brian. He ran over another dog. He was freaking out. He said, kill someone. He was freaking out. And all of a sudden he went to someone and said, but he said, I murdered somebody. He said, oh my God, you're going to get arrested, this and that. He said, who'd you murder? I said, I murdered the dog. He said, don't worry about it. You'll be okay. There's no law against that. I mean, the reality is that there's not enough protection for the animals. Okay.
There isn't. But you know what I'm finding out, which is really sad, is that it seems like wherever there's a problem, there's a business. That people want to continue. And a lot of people
listen, I went through this with the Luca Magnetic case, so the kitten killer turned cannibal murder. No one heard me, no one cared, no one helped me. I was alone with a bunch of anonymous kids on Facebook, and Rescue Inc. did step up, and give a reward day one. And even Last Chance for Animals verified that the video of this
was
guy,
real when the others said it was fake and old.
Suffocating the kittens, where all the other organizations said that they were fake and old.
Let me just say something. I'll interrupt you for a second. You mentioned Rescue Inc., Last Chance for Animals, Rescue Inc. Let me just say this. Two great organizations. I've met them both. Rescue Inc., great guys there. Chris Rose and Last Chance for Animals. Yeah,
Wait.
And then I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay,
great. Yeah, I know. Well,
I'm so proud of my sister because we were actually lobbying for a bill, ironically, against violence of animals on the Internet, November 2010, H.R. 5566. And guess who was fighting us?
For Crush video. It's, the Crush video bills.
ACLU they were fighting us to say it's a First Amendment. They wanted violence on there. They didn't care. So we had no big, huge bulldozer corporation behind us helping us finance press or anything for these voices of these animals that were cruelly, tortured on videos for entertainment. So we really try to get that going. But a video came to my sister, and I'm so proud of her.
It was December 2010.
Yes, and
2010.
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
It was called A Boy and Two Kittens, and it was about this boy that was suffocating these kittens very sadistically with a vacuum and a plastic bag. And hundreds of people came towards me, what can we do, and everything. So I went to all the animal organizations, all of them, and surprisingly they said, no, we already saw that. They're old. They're fake. Rescue Inc. was the only one, day one, that right away put up a reward, $2,500, that went to $5,000, and started an investigation. And then there was a Facebook group created by this military guy, Ryan Boyle, and he created the most important secret Facebook group called Youthful Individuals, and there's 26 of us, people that specialized in finding this kitten killer. And so it was January 11th where we finally, it was a process of going through, dissecting each picture, everything about this boy and the kittens, and there was 3 videos of him killing kittens with a snake and drowning the other. But when we finally found his name, one of my jobs, like in the beginning, I took it to Dina Stapleton, the Examiner, for the reward, and that helped drive the tips into the Facebook group where useful individuals found the name. We found the name Luca Magnetta, and I went to Negotiation is Over, January 11th, and it was breaking news that this guy was the kitten killer, and that was the first time he ever sought a lawyer, with anything. He panicked when he saw that. And but with authorities, it was really frustrating because he was in Canada. And even my friends down here were friends with the FBI and the district attorney and the LAPD threat management, everyone. And we even had a plan with Rescue Inc. It was their idea to lure Luca Magnetta, who was a wannabe porn guy, to lure him down here to Hollywood because it would have been easier to arrest him, than there in Canada. It wasn't much that we can do, although, we did contact, authorities that we knew up there. My sister's husband is Ken Wall, the actor from Wise Guy, and he shot much of Wise Guy up in Canada, and he played an FBI agent. So a lot of the law enforcement, both here and in Canada, are big fans. So we got a lot of favorites, and contacts and connections and everything. But it took literally Scotland Yard saying, after he was killing all these kittens, where are the huge international animal organizations that know how to catch this guy that's going, ha, try to catch me. I mean, the guy was so brazen, he knew that he just wasn't going to get caught until the rest of them got on it. But it was a little bit late, lots more animals getting killed and then a person in the most horrific way that you can imagine. But unfortunately, it was sad.
Yeah, that's sad. And I think that anyone, and I said it early in the first segment, that anyone that has it in them to harm an animal, my God, the next step is children, women, the elderly. It doesn't stop. It's a pattern.
But you know what? I really objectively looked at this, Lou, because while I was doing this, you have people that feel like you, and then I heard a lot, they're only kittens, especially cats. And by the way, violence is about control. It's not about the violence. So the least controlled animal is a cat. That's why they're the most tortured and killed. But we got to take animals out of the equation. And just like a lot of killers like to start fires, it's not about fires and it's not about animals. It's about profiling them as addicts that have a thirst for violent crimes that always escalate into dangerous criminal behavior, like serial killing, etc. Yeah.
Yes, they're control freaks that have a thirst for controlling something live, and
so
that's what they say.
I had an idea of registering them like child molesters or pedophiles, or sex offenders, because this way the public can work with authorities, instead of being vigilantes off on their own, or the authorities that are way over, with real murders and everything. So we can keep a watchful eye on anyone that starts abusing animals as knowing it will escalate.
Well, I'll tell you this much, that to do something like that, I think that the authorities or the government, they have to pass some sort of law where they can, people can actually get arrested for abusing animals. Once you do that basically it opens up the door for a lot of things that can transpire. Okay, with they have an app for seeing where child molesters are. Okay, where they can do that for animal abusers. So hopefully, something happens to make that happen.
But we've been trying. Kitty helped with this case with this little kitten that was glued on the highway, and I think it was Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. But what I have to do right now, because we're running out of time. All right, what I want to do, and I would love to go into everything, but we're going to run out of time. Do me a favor, just let our listeners know how they can find out about you guys and follow your causes and get involved. Let's do that before the show.
Join our Facebook page, The Barbi Twins, and then come to Twitter. at Barbi_twins. And that's where we are getting a new set of people. We're getting pretty successful with adoptions there, which is wonderful, and just getting the word out to new people. I love Twitter in that sense. And George?
And I urge the listeners to go and definitely follow you guys for sure and go on your site.
Thank
Jordan?
you. Oh, network does help.
Yeah, I would say that you're welcome to join me on my Facebook page, Jordan Carlton Schaul. And then also you can look up the webpage Wildlife SOS, which is the organization that I'm currently involved with. And they're based out of India and do work with companion animals and wildlife. And they're probably actually the largest rescue center in South Asia.
Okay, guys, thank you for coming on the show. We run out of time, and we'll have you back on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
You're listening to UCW Radio in your face.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.